everybody, but I think that you'll enjoy it.
It is on the list.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. And he's got spirit, yes he do. He got spirit. How about you, Sweet Sean the Kovacs from the internet?
I do.
And I wonder if he'll have any relevant stories for this episode. Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and I come from a town called Armpit.
Oh, man. Like, if any of us were to come from a town called Armpit, I think you would probably be the
front runner for that.
The front runner for that one. I'm coming out here from Armpit, Kentucky.
That's right.
West Armpit.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to get on that east side over there. The bunch of uppities living over there on the east side of the Armpit. They don't, you don't want to get near that kind.
They get the name
tracks.
Bran Crackers over there.
Ugh.
They voted for Ruben Stoddard on American Idol. We don't talk to them.
We're Claymate City
funny.
right over here.
Man, that is really funny. That's very funny, Bruce.
Well, we are back yet again, and I think if memory serves, Nate was the one who came up with this great idea of all these failed kind of TV pilots and stuff that we're going to be doing.
Great idea.
Beautiful idea.
Thank you. Thank you, Nate.
It's so good. So today we're going to be reviewing The Spirit, Sam J. Jones' The Spirit from 1980. What was this again?
Seven.
I couldn't remember if it's 7 or 9.
And it's a TV movie.
This was supposed to be the launching point for this thing.
Yes, it was.
It was supposed to be where we all went from just going, The Spirit to, The Spirit. That's what this was supposed to be.
A multi-sensory media experience.
Oh.
That's how high their sights were set.
I've got to tell first, before we get into the show, I have got to make a formal apology to Mr. Bruce Leslie, because for years and years and years, Bruce wanted us to watch this thing.
Yeah.
And for years and years and years, I was like, no,
It seemed like
I've
the
never
worst
heard of
idea.
it. No way. But my word, what a treasure.
I'm glad,
I
man.
love this movie. And I can tell you why I was all poo-pooing the idea is because I had seen the big budget Spirit movie that came out,
Yeah.
Yes.
the Frank Miller one, and it's so bad. I was like, I never want to see anything about this character again, because it has to be worse than the Frank Miller The Spirit. But oh my, it is not. It is. Give me this every time. This is amazing.
Well, it's certainly
Maximum Overdrive, and then that Frank Miller, The Spirit, are the two movies that I like to use as examples to say, like, even a bad director gives you a better movie than when someone who's not a director tries to give you one.
It's true.
Because those two movies come to mind.
It's true.
Do we also blame Robert Rodriguez a little bit? I think we have to, because
I don't blame him. The guy's got a tough enough time. All his kids became spies and left him or something.
No, but like,
true.
I don't know.
It's true. Look it up.
He got him.
I saw 4 different documentaries about his kids turning into spies.
I know. And Sylvester Stallone tried to steal his wife or something.
Man, who can blame him though?
Yeah.
Yowza, am I right?
Hubba, hubba, hubba. That's one good-looking guy, that's Stallone.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today, everybody. So buckle in for that. Before we do want to say a thank you to everybody that supports this here program over at patreon.com/HMP. Guess what happens? You go over to patreon.com/HMP. You sign up at any level. I don't care what it is. It's $1, $5. We got people, $20 and above. It's just whatever it is at. Put a number to that for how much you like this show. Send it our way, and you can be like our good friend Malcolm D, who joins the Patreon group and gets himself not only the pre-show, not only the post-show, but gets bestowed upon him by Sweet Sean the Kovacs from the internet, an awesome H&P nickname.
And Dinger Zone.
Oh, and Dinger Zone. Oh, my gosh. Why do I forget the whole Dinger Zone?
So, Malcolm D, I did some internet snooping on your name. Not a ton. Not in a creepy way, unless you think I have a bit of a creep vibe just naturally. And it turns out there's a Yeah, jury's out. And it turns out that there's a guy who does nails in California who has your same name. Now, I'm not sure what you call that job. Is it a nail stylist or nail guy, nailer?
Like for your fingers.
Cuticulure.
Ooh, I like that. Cuticulure.
It's better than nail technician, which I think is like the actual.
Yeah. Gentlemen, find me your finest cuticulure in California.
Aha.
Anyway, these aren't your typical nails that this guy does, Malcolm D. No. These are nails these are the kind of nails that you only see on sassy African American ladies or Italian ladies. And whenever you see them, you're like, how does she get any work done with nails that long? Like those kind of nails. And I have no idea if this is actually you, Malcolm. Maybe you hate doing nails. Maybe you hate ladies' nails, but I hope it is you, because these claws look like they cost a ton of money, man. So much so that I'm sure if we all learned how much money this Malcolm D makes a year, we would be shocked.
Yeah.
Plus, I have a really great name suggestion for your nail salon, 9 Inch Nails. You're welcome. But Malcolm, today is the third most important day of your life because it's your HMP naming day. And from this point forward, by the power of the fine people who bring you the internet, your HMP nickname will be Fancy Claus. Congratulations, Malcolm D. And thank you.
Malcolm
Solid,
is
man.
now
Solid.
known as Fancy Claus. Thank you, sir. And thank you to everyone who supports this show. Patreon.com/HMP. I love all you guys. Appreciate you so much. And of course, if you can't support the show via Patreon, share the show with somebody that you love or somebody that you hate. Just somebody, or, please. And review us on iTunes. Spotify now has the thing where you can drop 5 stars there, a.k.a. a humdinger.
Humdinger.
Really appreciate that, man, because especially with Spotify, I don't know what their star ratings or anything, if that improves any searchability or any crap like that, but it couldn't hurt,
Couldn't hurt.
Couldn't hurt. So just drop that on down there. Well, yeah, please. Now this is going to shock you boys. I don't have a trailer for the Sam J. Jones Spirit, so I'm just going to play a little bit of this song in the background here, and we can just imagine guys in brightly colored clothes just kind of smashing each other a little bit, tussling, really. Just going a little bit back and forth. Just your highlights. What do you got? All right, there we go.
Well, my big one is seeing Philip Baker Hall. Philip Baker Hall is in this movie. Why is Philip Baker Hall in this movie?
We'll get into it. All right, let's do this real fast. Oh, I can only imagine what he has drummed up for us this week.
Will Eisner was born in 1917, and one could probably say he was the first celebrity comic book creator. His name has most of its present-day recognizability from the Eisner Awards, which perhaps are the most prestigious awards in the world of comics. But why is he so famous? He started writing The Spirit in 1940, but Superman and Batman were on the scene by then, and the Spirit doesn't have near the modern-day presence of those DC characters. Now, Eisner's father moved to the United States from present-day Ukraine in hopes of avoiding being drafted into the Austro-Hungarian army for World War I, and he worked painting backdrops for vaudeville shows. And I wish I had lived in an era in which painting backdrops for local theater was a full-time job. Well, like pretty much every Golden Age comic creator, Eisner was born and grew up in Brooklyn. Now, young Eisner often got into physical confrontations when subjected to anti-Semitism from his schoolmates, and this familiarity with fisticuffs may have impacted how he wrote The Spirit. But the fact that Eisner dealt with anti-Semitism is made more interesting by the fact he didn't identify as Jewish. In fact, Eisner said that he turned against the religion when his family was denied entry to a synagogue over the lack of money for admission. And this is all according to Michael Schumacher's book, Will Eisner, A Dreamer's Life in Comics. Now, in 1936, a high school friend who just happened to be Bob Kane suggested that the then 19-year-old Eisner try selling cartoons to the new comic book, Wow, What a Magazine. Now, Wow editor was a guy named Jerry Iger, and he bought an Eisner adventure comic strip called Captain Scott Dalton, and a comic book partnership was formed known as Eisner and Iger, or Iger and Eisner, depending on who you asked. Now, that WoW comic lasted 4 issues, and after it, Eisner and Iger worked together producing and selling original comics and original comic book material. They soon had a stable of their own comics creators, and they were supplying work to Fox Comics, Fiction House, Quality Comics, where Eisner co-created the character Dollman, who's a favorite of this podcast, and others. Will Eisner said that when he was turning a profit of $1.50 a page, he claimed that he was very rich before the age of 22. And in 1979, he said, in late 39, just before Christmas time, Quality Comics publisher Everett M. Busy Arnold came to me and said that the Sunday newspapers were looking for a way of getting into this comic book boom. The newspapers in this country, particularly the Sunday papers, are looking to compete with the comic books. They'd like to get a comic book insert into the newspapers. And that's when they asked Eisner if he could do it. And that meant he'd have to leave Eisner and Iger, which was making him that money of $1.50 a page. But it was, even though it was a hard decision, he did agree to do the comic book thing. And that's when he came up with the Spirit. And that's also when Eisner negotiated an agreement with the syndication in which the copyright for the Spirit would belong to the newspaper, but the character itself would belong forever and always to Will Eisner. And maybe that's why
that's a good deal for him.
Yeah. And maybe that's why he's so important, because he had the first creator-owned high-profile character, maybe. Is it because he introduced superheroes to newspapers? Well, not exactly, because I think King Features did it first. But for whatever reason, the Spirit has a place of honor in comics, along with its creator, Will Eisner. And speaking of places of honor, Adam, do you have a list?
Honor and Glory. That's a Cynthia Rothrock reference for those in the Dinger Zone. Well, if that wasn't enough, let me sell everybody on this Sam J. Jones Spirit, because this sucker's got everything. We got that Flash Gordon guy. We got the lady from Deep Space Nine, but with 100% less accordion nose. We got Philip Baker Hall is in this sucker. Let that sink in for just a second. Yeah. We got an extended cameo by young Bruno Mars, domino mask, blue suits, perfect hair, hot merchandise, wheelchair racing, and betting, baths of acid, torn shirts, grown men tussling, the spirit does Laurence Olivier, smoky graveyards, human-sized lowering wenches, fun with secret identities, commercial breaks, and perhaps nearly the lowest superhero stakes possibly we've ever come across. This show has everything.
The Zinkelberg manuscripts. That's what it was all about.
This was such a joy. I know that I say this from time to time, but I'm going to say it again. This movie is the reason why we have a podcast. I love this movie so very much. It was wonderful. Everybody in it is great except for Sam J. Jones, who is awful in it.
He kind of is really bad.
Everybody else is great, and they're acting against this piece of cardboard. It's not hard to see why.
It's still the best acting performance of his career. Better
without
than
a
Flash
doubt.
Gordon. Yeah.
Way better than Flash Gordon, and he's still really bad in it.
I hate to just start off by jumping all over the place, but the fact that someone had enough confidence in his acting abilities that they had him try to dress up and pretend to be a separate character.
Oh my God, so good.
They tried to get him to Eddie Murphy it there.
Oh my God.
I was hoping we would, and maybe if it had caught on as a series, we'd have got a new one of those every week. Ooh, that would have been nice.
Oh boy, this would have been a legendary series.
Like I can't remember a movie where I saw a child actor far outperform the main actor. and I mean, it's Bumper Robinson, so like it's not like it's a nobody in that role.
Yeah.
But my God, man, when the 10-year-old is outperforming the main actor in your show, you have got major trouble. It's got to be the only reason why this thing didn't go to series is him, because it's great. Like I love the cheapness of it because it feels really cheap.
Yeah.
I love the way that like things are parsed out. I love the way that I don't know if it was the director or the writer. It had to be the director because the timing is perfect. This movie has one of my favorite moments in a superhero movie ever when they're cutting the cake at that big gala, and the police commissioner turns to a guy and he goes, I sharpened that knife myself. And then there is like a 5 Mississippi beat before they cut. It is amazing, amazing TV show / movie. I get it. I get why they didn't make this into a series, but that was a mistake.
Think of all the frustrated housewives that got to sit there and watch a shirtless Sam Jones roll around inside of a giant cake to defuse a bomb. Like, come on. It was jealous husbands. That's why this show didn't get picked up.
I won't
It's
have
so
you
crazy
coming
that-
into this house every week, Sam J. Jones, and manipulating my wife.
It doesn't. It feels like the producers of this movie, because they have all of these great character actors in this show, and like I've never been a huge fan of Nana Visitor. Like I get it that she's on Star Trek and people love that character on Star Trek. I am not one of those people, but like she's fine for that role. Like she's kind of great for the role that she's in here, where she's
really great.
Who are we
Yeah.
talking about? I may not recognize the name there.
Nana Visitor. She was on Deep Space Nine. She played Major Kira.
Yeah.
Who is she in this movie?
She is Ellen Dolan. She's the daughter of
The blonde lady.
Yeah.
Yes.
The love interest
Okay.
kind of thing.
Yes, the love interest in the show. And everybody, everybody is great in this show, except for Sam J. Jones, who is the worst. So it just makes me ask the question, like, you guys got everybody right except for your main character. Did you hire him because he was Flash Gordon 10 years previous, or what?
I honestly, I think there's part of it that has to have been his build. He's just like, he's built the way that the Spirit looks like he's drawn, just this big muscular dude.
It's true. He does look like him.
So I really think that was it. It was just like, it really came from an aesthetics. We can get somebody who's a better actor, but he's physically he ain't gonna be him. And I think they're just like, we got to go with the looks. If he's not going to have a costume, he does need to be at least a physically imposing person, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd hope he'd act better.
Oh boy, man, he is just the worst in this. He is so awful. He's so bad that the comedy comes across better because he's so bad in it.
I mean, I was not at all dissatisfied with what the screen was offering up to me. Like,
Man.
there was no point when I was checking my watch.
This totally passes the phone test. You're right.
And I think that it has a few moments that do walk that line of, did they mean to do that? Or is that just an accident? Because that makes it funnier when it's not totally clear to me which way to go with it.
Thankfully, this was made just before Burton's Batman.
Yeah,
because that they would have swayed that way if that were the case. And so we get what is just one of the best graveyard scenes I've seen in a very long time. It's Mr. Boogity Good. You know what I mean?
Definitely Mr. Boogity Good.
I am so happy that we all three had the exact same thought while watching this, is that it was very Mr. Boogity-esque.
It's clearly on a stage. They don't care that that it's on a stage.
These great cycloramas with Gone with the Wind colors behind them and stuff.
So good.
Yes, I love it. I love everything about it.
So good. And you have the and then if that weren't great enough, you would, because it kind of reminded me also of the movie Ed Wood, like the graveyard in Ed Wood.
Oh yeah.
But to sort of one up even the graveyard scene in Ed Wood, no, he's gonna turn that place into his apartment.
Yes.
He's gonna turn the crypt into his apartment.
Dad, I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to talk about the idea. Like, in the comics, I understand the significance of his bat cave is this crypt, but he never turned it into his pad. He's entertaining people. He's got arcade cabinets set up down there. There's music and purple lights, and nobody notices. you know that I don't care how big or small your town is, if there was a crazy hermit living in a mausoleum, it'd be the talk of the town.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's just Greg. He's having a time. Let him go. Just let him go. He'll be all right.
But the idea
He ain't hurt nobody.
Man, and to think of all those dummies who don't have houses who didn't just move into graves.
Well,
Yeah, no one thinks about moving into mausoleums as a form of
affordable
having,
housing alternative.
when I was a kid, we would play baseball at the baseball diamond behind our elementary school. But if the bigger mean kids showed up, we would have to play it. There was like this one clear space in the middle of the cemetery, and we would play it there. And without fail, like, we could go probably like an hour or two of playing, but without fail, the police would come by and be like, "Get out of here. What are you doing here? This is a graveyard." And so I can only imagine if someone's living there.
I mean, he takes a date back to his place. Like, he takes a date back. Ladies, any single ladies out there listening, if a guy asks you to come back to his place and it's a cemetery, red flag, okay? I'm not saying that it's a deal breaker, just red flag.
A guy that you don't even know his real name. She doesn't
wears
know
a
who
mask
it is.
while you're making sweet, you know what?
I love the mask conceit. Okay, so let's just. Oh gosh, it's so just fantastic. Is he the police chief? What is his role with the old guy, the big fat guy that he's
Police
finally
commissioner.
he's the commissioner.
He's the
Okay.
Commissioner
Okay.
Dolan.
So when he takes off the domino mask for the first time and he sees that it's him, God bless this man. Give him an Emmy right there. Give him an Emmy.
I'm all for it. Yeah.
His look of like, oh my God, it's you and you're alive, and I did not recognize you until you took that inch and a half of mask off your face, and now it's you. Wow.
And also, it's that guy that I met for 2 minutes like a week ago.
Yes.
I always love those where it was just like someone must have left one hell of an impression on you because it was for 5 minutes 5 years ago. Were you the guy at the mall that put his hand in that Pepsi machine? And you're like, what?
That's what I need like a modern day version of this with the modern day Sam Jones, who is Dave Bautista.
Oh my God, that's kind of true.
And you just have like Dave Bautista with the mask on. Nobody has any idea who it is. He takes the mask off and it's, oh, hey, there's Dave.
I told you I'm Dave Bautista. Here it is. And you're like, oh my God, there he is. Oh, wow.
No shirt on, just all the tattoos.
Yeah, I'm trying to think the mask. Who would the mask matter the least on? And I think it's Dave Bautista.
I love that man so much. Hey, Dave, here's a tip. If you want to be just taken seriously as an actor, just do those roles. Don't keep telling everybody about how you want to be a better actor. Like, if the world loves anything, it's like clowning people that say that they want to do something special. Anytime that you say you want to do something and be better, the world's going to take a dump on you and say, no, you don't. Close your mouth.
You care about something.
Yeah, close your mouth and start doing good roles, and then just show us. Just show us what you want to be. Because I really do think he wants to be a fantastic actor. I really do.
Yeah.
But shut your mouth about what you want to be taken seriously. Just do it. Just do it and show us. And I'm rooting for the guy. I want him to be good. But he just keeps opening his mouth, and I just kind of want to go shut up.
I think the first thing he needs to do is reboot the spirit.
But here's the thing. He would I'm so glad that you said that because Sam J. Jones is giving a kind of just that bland sort of performance where you're just like, what is it? What is he bringing to this? But then again, when you get to the torture scene and his shirt's off, you're like, oh, I get it. This guy's ripped. Exactly. That's why they got him here. It's because he looks good with his shirt off and he's going to fight some dudes,
I mean, they get him shirtless and cake. They have him tied up and being whipped erotically in case you're the BDSM.
Yeah.
This was eye candy for housewives. They're trying to slip one past the husbands here with this. The whole premise
he
of this
gets like
was,
with his
let's
shirt
give
off,
him
gets
some
like
man meat. Yeah.
bucket of water thrown on his chest and everything. I'm like,
Yes.
they're leaning into it, man, and it's
Yeah,
kind of it's just
this
fun.
was a show made for whoever wants to gaze at the male form,
Yeah, you don't want to see the male acting form, no sir. But the male physical form, you can get plenty of that. Come for the form, stay for the
And I mean, I might
the kid
be
with the hot
confused, but
stereos.
I may be confused, but wasn't Sam J. Jones like his catapult to fame was Playgirl that he posed nude?
Man, I don't know. That's before my time.
He showed off his soggy fry for the world to see.
All right. All right, let's get into it. Because we're here. We need to, for those that may not have heard the infamous story. Let's crack it open.
Oh man, this was in Portland. So Portland, probably 2014, 2015. So
Portland, Oregon, or Maine?
Come on,
Portland, Wisconsin. Get with the story, Sean. He's told it 50 times.
Yeah, it was Portland, Oregon, Rose City Comic Con, and Sam J. Jones was there. And I thought, you know what? Ted had brought him, I believe, more fame than he had felt in a while.
Oh yeah, it was a big cameo for him.
It was a big deal for him.
Yeah, because he had a lot of Ted merchandise, and he also had the Flash Gordon stuff. But then he had one little picture of him as the Spirit, so that's the one that I knew I had to get. So I had never seen this movie before then, but I did get a picture, which was a promo headshot from this movie that I got him to autograph, and I was behind in his autograph line, behind two females, two women, when I say two girls, I don't mean like they weren't children or anything. They were adults.
What, you telling me that 12-year-olds aren't going up to Sam J. Jones asking for autographs and willing to fork out $20 a pop?
They were adults, but they were nowhere near as old as Sam J. Jones, is what I'm trying to say.
Fair, okay.
And he was really, really interested in talking to them for a nice long time. I was like, oh, this is cool. He's talkative. I can't wait to get up there and get my chance to talk. And then eventually, when the two, I'll call them girls, but they're adult women. They're adults, but they're not old enough to be in Sam J. Jones's AARP group. But anyway. So after they move, I go up and I'm trying to okay, it's my turn to talk to him. And he grabs the thing, and I'm telling you, he's signing it with one hand, but he's not looking at it. He's turned all the way around to this poor volunteer for the con who's assisting him. Everybody has like a handler. Mm-hmm. And he's yelling at her about how his fries are going to get soggy because she went to get his lunch and she rolled up the top of the bag. He said, you got to keep the bag open or they'll get soggy. So he signs this without even making eye contact with me. Doesn't ask me my name or anything. He signs it with while he's yelling at her, hands it to me, shows me to go away. And I thought, my goodness, why in the world would he treat me differently than those two girls in front of him?
Why on earth?
He was worried about his fries getting soggy.
So here's the question behind the question. Is that true? Do you think he's correct? If you close the bag, the fries get soggy.
Fries get soggy regardless, bag open or closed. Fries get soggy. Now, how does it happen more quickly? Oh, I'm not qualified on that.
Yeah, and here's the thing: these days, most people are undercooking fries, so their sogitude is much more apt to happen.
Now, when you say people, who do you mean?
Restaurants.
Okay.
They most of them undercook fries these days.
Suddenly, I like the idea when you say people. I'm picturing it like tailgating with a deep fryer. Only it's just like I picture when I walk up to get Sam Jones's autograph, he turns around, puts his fries in the fryer, pulls out.
Hey, listen, if every autograph came with a free side of fries, I'd pay $20 for that.
I would have died 3 years ago. Because the only thing I like better than autographs are fries.
He can't make them. He goes to every convention. He
comes home. He's worse than one of those Grateful Dead groupies.
He's just going around collecting free.
You wouldn't believe the disgusting thing he does for those fries.
Terrible.
You want to get back to the
yeah. So I love the commercial breaks. I love the mask coming in. Very Batman 66. Just kind of beautiful.
So good. Yeah, it's wonderful.
This would have absolutely been one of my favorite shows when I was 10. But it came out when I was like 12, 13, something like that. So it's crazy. But I think this is one where 3 years made a big difference. I think this gets more traction in 1984.
Yeah, I agree, man. But I think that you can't have the Spirit without the Hulk, right?
Yeah. I can't disagree with that.
Yeah. And I think that this is also one of those things where, because the rights are so with one person, that most most TV companies are like, well, why would we have merch for this thing? Because the he's going to get a percentage of it, like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so that's probably an issue as well, because he's not letting go of the spirit, right? I mean, the spirit is still owned by his estate. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's kind of failure to launch with this show in the first place. I think that some people had some high-minded ideas of where this could go, but I think that ultimately networks aren't going to pick up a show where, like, because at this point everybody knows about merchandise for mass media, that they know that, oh, we're going to have to give some money to this guy if we make, the spirit action figure and old man action figure.
And you learn about this pretty soon too, with with Burton's Batman coming right around the corner, and Jack Nicholson owning so much of the merch rights and stuff on that, where he gets a little back end off of all that. He made more money off of that than anybody.
I mean, I don't think there's at this point now, with maybe one exception, I don't think there's anyone who would ever get a deal like that ever again in Hollywood.
Oh, no.
There's one exception to that, and that's Tom Cruise, but that's about it.
What if Robert Downey Jr. asked for something ludicrous to come back as Iron Man?
That's a good point. You know what? I didn't think of that. Maybe RDJ comes back if he gets like a little taste.
Well, I will say this.
That merch.
I don't know about this, but I do, word around the internet campfire is that, old RDJ may be slipping into something. Maybe not, a full big thingy in Marvel, but maybe for a little cameo thing. That's what they say. I don't know. That's what the internet says. The internet says a lot of things, and most of them are lies.
Yeah.
Maybe that's another one. Perhaps that it's not, though. That's what makes it fun.
I think I saw a picture of RDJ, and it looked like he had shaved his head and his facial hair. Have you guys seen that at all?
No. In what context?
Like, it was, I don't know, like in a magazine website or something. I can't quite remember now.
He's remaking GHX 1138. That makes sense.
Oh, is he?
No, I just made that up.
I was like, what the heck? Well, anyway,
That'd be a really weird
for a
choice.
moment, I had to do like a double take, because for a moment I thought that it was Howie Mandel, like RDJ looked a lot like Howie Mandel with his head shape.
Oh, is that part of the new? Somebody said that he'd like kind of gone vegan or something like that recently, and kind of looks like he's deficient, and so they said Iron Deficient Man, and they just put a new picture up of him, and he looks all skinny and stuff.
Yeah, that might be it.
Eat a sandwich, guy. Where would you see this show going if this went to like a week-to-week basis sort of thing? How would it not be just this every single time? It feels like.
Oh well, I mean that really worked well in the first half of the decade of the 80s. Once again, like I said, this feels like it was made for at least 3 years before when it came out, because that worked. What was Knight Rider other than kind of the same thing every week?
To be fair.
Well, but here's the difference, right? Is that they learned from the Incredible Hulk and Wonder Woman that, look, we need to have a bad guy that's like a reoccurring bad guy.
Yeah.
And Knight Rider, they kind of course corrected on that, because there was Carr,
and
Goliath,
and David Hasselhoff with a goatee.
With a goatee, yeah. And so, they already have that set up for series by having the lady who looks like the girl that I moved to Dallas, Texas with.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Totally.
She's the recurring villain. Yeah, she even took her man candy with her. Once again, I'm telling you, this was made for people who like man candy. I'm telling you.
Pagel Roxton was the character. I was looking it up. Pagel Roxton is her name.
That's got to be that's got to be the best. Like, that's got to be the best gig in this show. Is that guy who, like, you're in the show for 5 minutes, you ride off in a motorcycle, and you get to make out with the hot lead, bro? What a job that guy got! Woo! And they paid you for it. I tell you what, boy, living
That's what you call
life.
a win-win.
No kidding. That guy went home happy that week. paycheck and this hot lady. Like, look, and there's evidence of me now on this awesome, motorcycle. And she looks all hot with got her skirt up there. So you got the garter and everything going. Like, they know what they're doing over there. Good
of
stuff.
course they know what they're doing.
It's so silly, but it's so great.
So let me ask you another question. Did either of you recognize Bumper Robinson?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know who Bumper Robinson is.
Okay, so Bumper Robinson, Adam, why don't you tell him?
He is one of these guys that you say that you maybe don't know who he is, but you've seen him in 8 gajillion things. He was one of those kids that when I was growing up, he was in all of it. He was on here's an episode of Sister. Anything that was on TGIF, he was there 100% on at least a couple of episodes and stuff. But he was in everything, and he's done voiceover work for video games for all of these years and stuff. But the guy's been everywhere.
When he first showed up, and I see him selling those Walkmans, those assumed to be stolen Walkmans, and I thought, oh my, this is not going to have Ebony. They're really going to have Ebony in here, and thank goodness they changed his name to Hubie instead of Ebony. And I thought they were going to go full on. I was like, 1987 is still at a time where they could have a character go full on Ebony White and not realize that they shouldn't have done that.
Let me give you
his name to Hubie. Thank goodness.
Let's give you a quick rundown of old Bumper Robinson's.
Well, hold on, because I'm going to tell you what I know him from best.
Okay, please.
And this is gonna get you. He is in absolutely my favorite Mr. T work ever, which is Mr. T had this video that you could, I believe, send away for. I don't think you could even get it in a video store. And it was called Be Somebody or Be Somebody's Fool. And I watched that all the time. And Bumper Robinson was in that as a kid. And I was like, man, that kid's got it all.
He's living the dream.
In this educational video where Mr. T attempts to install good values, honor thy mother, don't give in to peer pressure, etc., to kids through rapping and breakdancing, among other things.
It's the best. All these people are breakdancing and singing around him, and he's just kind of clapping his hands and moving his shoulders, to the music, and then just yelling at the TV, drink your milk, it's just the best. It is so fun. I it's got to be on YouTube. It's got to be.
I would imagine so. But he's been on Webster, Give Me a Break, like you said, the Mr. T thing, Cagney and Lacey. He was in that 1985 Enemy Mine. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's kind of a
he's the kid.
I remember Enemy Mine.
Yeah, he's the kid. He's his son.
Facts of Life, Punky Brewster, Days of Our Lives. The kid, he was in everything.
It's a real hit parade, man. He got it all.
Amen, Family Matters. The guy was Different World. He was on a buttload of Different World episodes.
That guy was living my dreams for a while.
He was just everywhere. He was one of those guys. And like you said, you see why in this show. He is this is one of those pro kids that back in the day, they weren't all this pro. Nowadays we got amazing kid actors. You throw a rock and you're gonna hit a kid actor that's gonna be astounding. These days or back then it's oh my God, somebody will this kid will easily get to set, know every bit of his lines, and we don't have to worry about him. He was one of those kids. You could definitely tell. But he, like you said, he's against Sam J. Jones and he's running the show.
Man,
he's running the show around this adult man, and it's hilarious to kind of watch. Because your eyes just go to him.
It's true.
Your eyes go to the little kid because he's got all the charisma. Sam J. Jones ain't got nothing.
It's true, man.
Except for some pretty awesome style. I love the jacket. I love the costuming is great. He looks real. Again, I think just because he cut such a good figure is 3/4 of the reason why he was cast in this role. 100%.
Without a doubt.
I love the acid bath. I love the fact that this is the first episode of this thing, and we've already got our hero passed out on a winch that's going down into a vat of acid. It's just right off the bat, you go with the most amazingly cliche. But for whatever reason, I love that. You shouldn't. You should just go, oh, this is dumb, and everybody's done this. But you go, I like it.
It's way more Batman 66 than I thought it would be, which is which is something to recommend it in my opinion. I think that we've we've fallen out of God's eyes when it comes to the superhero TV shows with a lot of things.
Yeah.
But boy, oh boy, this is just so fun. And just the simple fact that there's like I know that you mentioned it earlier, but like, how lucky are you that you got Philip Baker Hall in your show?
Why? Why is he here? Dude, does he owe someone money? Is there a favor involved? Is you marrying your daughter? What's happening? I don't understand why he's in. And you thought like, oh God, they killing him in like the first 5 seconds. You're killing the best actor in this whole thing. Oh, it's so disappointing.
Well, they didn't know what they had. I mean, at that time, I'm guessing that he's basically just a working actor, like, I mean, I didn't have any idea who he was until Paul Thomas Anderson got a hold of him. Did you know him?
No, I don't. Yeah, I think that's probably correct.
Come on, man. I'm reading here. He guest started everything that we ever watched, but he was that guy, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, he was in everything, but even with him being in everything, he doesn't have one of those faces where you're like, look at that catch this mitt, like not when he's younger. When he gets older is when he's interesting looking. When he's younger, he's not that interesting.
I was surprised he had
a middle-aged white guy.
I was just surprised he had a career before the library cop, because that seems like the perfect job for him.
I'm a cop. I'm a damn good cop.
It's pretty amazing. Like, I don't know what your reaction was, fellas, but mine was literally like, that can't be Philip Baker Hall.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
No way
it was unbelief at first. It was just like, no, why? Why is he in this? This doesn't make any. And then of course he's dying, and then like the second you see it, like no, don't die.
He lost a bet.
Oh man, if he I was like, maybe he's like our Alfred or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I figured that he would be that they would have him in by the end of the show, you see him in the hospital bed, like, hey, thanks there, Denny.
Yeah. Passing on some sort of torch or something. I don't know, but it's like he's like, blown up in like 2 seconds, and it's like, I'm dead. Oh, what a bummer.
Man. So weird.
What a bummer. But then again, hey, look, just wait 5 minutes, and then you get a fight in a foggy graveyard, and
true.
All's well with the world.
There's true, and there's always going to be something that's slightly off with this movie too, which is another thing to recommend it. Where like they're out front of the museum. They're out front of the museum, and it's the biggest thing that anyone's ever seen. What's happening at this museum, and it's like, and it's like you have the world's just worst extras, and everything's half dressed, and it's just like, man, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's so fun.
And all the fun stuff about this, like the way that I enjoy this movie, and I know you guys never quite saw it the way I did, but that's the same kind of feeling I got from Hasselhoff's Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm not trying to like say that you guys should feel that way about it. I'm just saying, like, it's the same kind of dumb fun, because sometimes people say, are you really saying you like that, or are you just saying that to get under people's skin? But it's the same kind of joy that I'm feeling here is what I felt with that.
And Bruce just looks at them and goes, yes.
I think the difference is that with Hasselhoff, there's always like a little bit of a wink, like, yeah, I know I suck, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But none of that is there with Sam J. Jones.
That does put him over the top. You're right. You know what? You just convinced me. That's why that one's better.
Sam J. Jones believes in Sam J. Jones.
Yes.
100%. If you'd asked him, he's doing a bang up job.
His soggy fry theory is not universally accepted.
No, while the jury may be out on that one.
And the only other person that I want to talk about, because it was killing me who the museum curator was, that actor, the guy who plays Teasdale, I believe is the character's name, but the actor's name is Daniel Davis. And and the spirit thinks that he's behind all of this, like he's the mastermind behind all of this, until you learn that it's the hot lady that is actually the one. And that dude, Daniel Davis, I had to look him up, because I was like, well, that guy's great, but I don't know why he's great. And so I looked it up. Get ready for this one. How's this for a two-banger? Best known for The Hunt for Red October. Awesome. And The Prestige. Get out of here.
Oh,
Wow. Nice.
I know. Just killing it, man. Killing it.
Were you not a fan of The Nanny?
No. I never watched it, actually. I don't know that
yeah,
show.
because when I see him, I'm thinking like, man, there's Niles, because he's from The Nanny.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
And who did he play on The Nanny? Was he like the butler or something?
Yeah, Niles. I said he's Niles as if that should be self-explanatory. He's the butler.
he's
Niles.
That's the name you don't know. Well, guess what? He was also with another Niles because he was on an episode of Frasier. So,
and I'm just looking here. The guy was born in Arkansas, and he pulled off the fake British butler pretty darn good.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
He did have like he just has an interesting look to him too. He doesn't look like most other kind of. He's like a great character actor look to him. You're just like, oh, that guy looks. He's kind of interesting. Just an interesting look about him.
Agreed.
All right, let's get down to it before we go. Wait a minute. I feel like I had one more thing in my head. Oh shucks, I've totally forgotten it. Anyways, we'll do this. So we have to find out how this movie that was made for television, that was tried to sell another television program that never actually happened, relates back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone.
Why, thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Ooh.
Mr. Stallone, I'd like to speak to you directly this evening about the actress who plays Ellen Dolan in the 1987 TV movie The Spirit. Her name is Nana Visitor. She's best known as Major Kira on the TV show Star Trek Deep Space Nine, but I'm guessing that you already stopped listening after I said the word Star Trek. The best thing about Nana Visitor, and that is her real name, acting on Deep Space Nine, is the wellspring of information on her. There's far more details on her than if she was just an actress on, I don't know, let's say a TV movie called The Spirit. For instance, an asteroid was named after her. She's claustrophobic. She's got a son named Django and a son named Buster. She's
wow,
man. That is a widespread Django and Buster. She's one, according to IMDb, she's one of only 26 actors that have worked on both Star Trek and Doctor Who.
Huh.
But honestly, 26 seems like a lot to me. Like one of only 26 is a lot.
That's a big number.
A lot of crossover.
And she did a guest spot on an episode of the television series Las Vegas, which is a show you also starred in. I know, Mr. Stallone, that show has been the connection to you often over these past 8 years. And believe me when I tell you, I tried to find another connection. Oh, I did. But by God, there wasn't one readily available. I still haven't seen a single second of the show Las Vegas. I don't know if I ever will. To me, Las Vegas felt like one of those shows that old people watch. And at the time, I was not an old person. But I am now. And my old people shows are shows like Stranger Things because it's set in the 80s when I was their age. Or Seinfeld. Or 8 seasons of The Simpsons. You know the 8 seasons, I mean. Actually, that brings up a question, you guys. I actually have a question for you guys. Do you think that the nurses who will care for us in 30 years will understand any of the Simpsons references that we'll be throwing around? Or do you think they're just like, this is just old people being weird?
They're going crazy.
Yeah, I already think some of the Beavis and Butthead stuff seems like it's from a bizarre bygone era to my kids.
I want to see Bruce like in an old folks' home, just sitting in a chair, going, "Lisa needs braces. Lisa needs braces."
And do you think that like there's things that have really hit the zeitgeist, like I sleep in a drawer, like stuff like that, you know, like where like everybody knows that reference.
Yeah.
And if you don't know the reference directly, you know that it's probably a Simpsons reference.
Hi,
you know,
Super Nintendo Chalmers. You know,
I
what
feel
that's
like
from.
I feel like the one that's going to be unified and like really go through all the nursing homes is everything's coming up Millhouse.
That's
like,
a good one.
I do.
Yeah,
I
that's
actually
what you're going to say when there's chocolate pudding in the cafeteria. Ooh, everything's coming up Millhouse.
That is a good one.
I have used that one in actual in life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me too.
I've used it a lot.
Also, where's Poochie? I think that's probably something that we'll be saying forever. Anyway, to get back to it. I digress. There you have it, Mr. Stallone. This week's Stallone Connection is Nana Visitor. I hope to hear from you next week. Your pal, Sweet Chauncey from the internet. And everybody, I know that I am pronouncing her name wrong. I don't know how to pronounce it. Please don't tell me. I don't care enough. Thank you.
She'll write a letter herself personally going, while perusing the internet, I happened to come across a podcast for the Spirit, and I thought, my word, I was in that thing. I'll take a listen to it. What is he calling me, this so-and-so from the internet? My word.
She'll send you a wire by Western Union.
Dear sweet Shaunsey, keep your name out of my mouth. Stop.
Man, I still can't watch a single thing he's in.
It's weird. It's weird.
I can't. I won't. It's like my brain will not let me anymore.
Yeah, Chris Rock is such a turd. No, I'm kidding. All right, here at Hero Movie Podcast, we have our own patented Robin rating system. If you'd like to check that out, head on over to reddit.com/r/Hero Movie Pod. It's right there at the top of the screen. Bruce, where does the Spirit TV movie fall on the Robin rating system for you?
It made me happy, man. And in these trying times, isn't it nice to be happy? I'm giving it a solid Tim Drake. I mean, rewatchability is there. And you know what? I don't even just watch it because it's funny to see Sam J. Jones be bad at acting. I still I just like it, man. There's some kind of like innocence to knowing that these people were really trying hard and this is what they gave us. I love that kind of sincerity. So
yeah.
Anyway, Tim Drake, you got to watch this, and it's not that long, right? It's under 1 hour and 20 or something.
Yeah, it's under 120.
Sean?
Oh man, for me, this is a Dick Grayson. This was such a joy. This was also, I mean, the reason why I'm ranking it so high is because it was such a delightful surprise. I was expecting to have to sort of watch this, and I'm, you know what? I'm going to bring this up as the case study is like me going to see Black Adam, where I know this movie is going to be terrible, and I've got to just get through it, just muscle through it, and be as nice as you can about it. This is not that. This is an amazing joy to watch. I found it so wonderful. I never looked at my phone because it's always surprising you with how weird it is and bad. And that's what makes it so wonderful. And also not being made just before really Burton's Batman just makes it so wonderful.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine, just like shift 1 year with this movie and it's completely different.
You get the Flash. I mean, you get the John Wesley shaped Flash. That's what you get.
Exactly. Oh, I remembered what I was that last little bit I was thinking about was the cake scene with the cake.
Oh.
And let me ask you guys, have you ever been in a place with a cake that's this bloody large? Like you always see these in things.
Never.
I've never been to where any location. Like, how do these giant cakes work?
Yeah,
it doesn't. None of it makes sense to me.
I've been to places that serve cake to a lot of people, but they're big, giant sheet cakes.
I was about to say, that's a sheet cake, right? Exactly. If you're serving multitudes, that's how it usually tends to work.
The only time that I was at an event that had a cake that big, I was on a naval battleship, and
wait a minute, this
these
isn't
terrorists had taken over, and thank God the cook saved us all.
Oh,
there's a story he tells his kids, along with he's part of the Jacksons.
It was Under Siege 4. This time with Chauncey.
Hey, listen, he can kick higher. I'm sure of that.
Oh man, well, I will actually attempt to kick.
Yeah, well, listen, if you can get it halfway up to your waist, you are
that fat old man.
The problem is before Sean kicks, he goes and 6 and 7 and 8.
So it's still a kick. How dare you? How dare you? That's right.
It gets the job done, doesn't it?
That's right.
For me, this is Damian Wayne's right there in the middle. It does have that great camp watchability and stuff like that. It's available on the Internet Archive, really easy, to find and stuff like that, unless you're Bruce. But it's out there. It's out there. It's available, and yeah, at just over an hour, it's enough to make you go oh, that was fun. But you don't want to watch 26 episodes of that on CBS every
Definitely
week.
Not.
You know what I'm saying?
Not.
You don't want that.
unless it just kept surprising you with other ways that it's bad, but I don't think that would
I
happen.
feel like there'd be a lot of set redressing. I feel like we'd spend a lot of time in the crypt.
It has to turn into an inside joke where you keep trying to cast someone worse than Sam J. Jones to be opposite him as the guest star that week, just to see what kind of things you come up with.
Or they really just go full fledged and like you're not even watching for the spirit. You're watching for whoever the guest is that week. It becomes a love
that's a
boat, but
great
with the
idea.
spirit. You know what I mean?
This week, Kevin Sorbo is the
Like,
spirit.
That's just put anybody in that spot. Yeah, we just change him. Even Nell Carter is the spirit. Whatever.
I prefer like Nell Carter as Zorro, because he calls himself a modern day Zorro. I'd like to see Nell Carter in the more like period piece. I think that would be more, because she could really bring more flair than Sam J. Jones could.
Dropping out of a window
Absolutely,
onto
man.
a
That
horse.
sassy lady. Get out of here.
She'd bring more flair to anything, of course, but
Half of her lines would just be,
Well, that'll do it, everybody, for this episode of Hero Movie Podcast. We'll talk about what we're doing next week in just a second. In the meantime,
maybe Jackie. Nah, that's too sexy.
too sexy.
Keep going.
Too sexy. Too sexy.
That's too sexy. It's too
I
sexy.
want to stay married, Sean. Come on.
Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can try here, you can try there, but
You ain't finding
Anime IOs.
nothing.
I'm talking about Anime IO this week, the podcast I do with my friend Chris from Canada, and of course, listener to the show here, Matthew from Texas. So check that out, Anime IO.
Shawnee, what else?
Well, we have another podcast called 30 Questions, where each week some nerdy property comes up and we see the newest episode of that and we go, hey, let's ask 30 questions of that bad boy. And coming up real fast is season 3 of The Mandalorian. So watch The Mandalorian season 3, and then you're like, hey, I'm tired of listening to these sycophantic Mandalorian podcasts. I need truth tellers.
Who also, by the way, have only their own opinions that they want to listen to. Not like opinions like yours, like the listeners who we take their questions and we read those questions on the air. What other show does that? It don't exist.
And there you go. So listen to that.
So go find all that kind of good stuff. That is it, everybody. Next week, we are continuing on with our failed pilots and bad TV crap from way back when we're talking about Wonder Woman pilot from 2011, also available on the old internet.
Great.
archive.
I can't wait. Nate, this is the best idea ever. Nate, I could turn this if it were up to me, I would turn this podcast into nothing but what we're doing now.
Yes, and I don't care about the genre. We wouldn't have to stick to superhero stuff. Just failed pilots as a whole is something I love.
Oh, it's wonderful.
You never know. All right, that is it, everybody. Join us next week for the Wonder Woman pilot from 2011. For Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Porters. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.
Begin the day with a friendly voice, a companion unobtrusive. Plays that song that's so elusive, and the magic music makes your morning mood. Up on your way, hit the open road. There is magic at your fingers. of the prophets were written on the studio